Welcome once again to the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge, presented by Georgia Alabama Sports Live. You can catch an episode every Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday on the Georgia Alabama Sports Live Facebook page and YouTube channel, and on Mondays and Fridays on the Richard Holdridge Facebook page, the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge Facebook page, and my YouTube channel called the Sports Beat with Richard Holdridge. So great to be here. A lot to get into on the show. On the radio broadcast, I'm going to have Philip Jordan later. We did that show last night on Facebook Live called the Spencer Columbus game with Mike Peacock. Got back to the house really late last night, but we were able to knock out a show. I was so busy calling games this week, I didn't have time to get a guest, but I wanted to get Philip Jordan on just to talk some college football because it's been a while since I've had Philip Jordan on the show. And we had a little fun with our college football picks. I'm just excited to be here. I'm truly blessed that I get to talk about sports, and I have a platform to do it. We've got Week 11 high school football. I'm going to recap what happened last night around the Chattahoochee Valley. I'm going to quickly preview Week 11. I actually did that on yesterday's show. I'm going to talk about the NBA, which 5 teams in college football are on upset alert, and my NFL picks. Also, it is game 1 of the World Series tonight between the Yankees and the Dodgers. So let's go ahead and get right into the show. I'm going to start off with a game that me and Mike Peacock were at Kinnett Stadium. And this game was on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. Spencer ends up getting the 35-8 victory over Columbus as Elijah Fudge had 4 touchdown passes, including 2 to Kalen Brunson. And Spencer was up 35-0 at the half. Columbus did get a touchdown just to make it interesting, but this was all Spencer in this game. The defense was solid. You had C.J. Starr with 16 tackles and a fumble recovery. And the Spencer Green Wave are now 6-3, and it looks like they're going to be in the playoffs. They're probably going to be the number 3 seed in the region, which means they're going to go on the road. But this is quite an accomplishment for Coach Joe Kegler. 3 straight years in the playoffs. They do play Hardaway on Halloween night. That's going to be a lot of fun. I will get into the Hardaway game later on. They're taking on Sumter County. But what a night for the Spencer Green Wave. And I was just excited just to be up in the broadcast booth at Kinnett Stadium to live stream this game with a really great guy that really knows his stuff, Mike Peacock. That was another game that we called. I believe that makes 4 games that we have called on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. I'm looking forward to working with Mike Peacock in the future with maybe some basketball games, possibly girls flag football. It was incredible. Chris Gates did an excellent job calling the game as far as producing. And we also had a busy night on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. We had Pirate Madness. Thrip Behringer and Toygar was on the campus of Chattahoochee Valley Community College. We had Noah Shelton and Brandon at Smith Station for Harris County Smith Station girls flag football. So much to get into. Let's go ahead and dive into the games that happened last night up at Callaway Stadium. Troup County had to win to keep their playoff hopes alive. Right now, they are in 4th place. That means they would clinch a playoff spot, but Whitewater has still got 2 games left as they will take on Mary Persons in Fayette County. And so Whitewater, if they win those, they have the tiebreaker with Troup County. Whitewater gets into the playoffs. The playoff teams would be Sandy Creek, LaGrange, Upson Lee, and Whitewater. Troup County has already lost to Upson Lee and Whitewater. So if Troup County beats Sandy Creek next week, they're going to the playoffs. I'm telling you, anything can happen in high school football. Troup County surprised everybody in the beginning of the season, beating Villa Rica 37-6 to open the season. I know that Coach Glisson is going to have Troup County prepared. I think that this is possible. Sandy Creek is the number 1 team in 3A, probably going to win a state championship this year. But Troup County knows if they go to Tyrone, Georgia, with all that history, Megatron played at Sandy Creek. Sandy Creek is an outstanding football team, but Troup County can pull off the upset to try to get into the playoffs, because I would not rely on Whitewater stumbling to either Mary Persons or Fayette County. I think that if Troup County wants to make the playoffs, they have got to beat Sandy Creek next week. Well, it was senior night for Central. In fact, they even rested most of their starters, and they were able to defeat Jag 52-14. Central is going to go on the road in the playoffs if they wrapped up the number 3 seed in the region. Meanwhile, Opelika went to the Crandon Bowl in Montgomery and lost in a shootout to Carver Montgomery, and that is Opelika's second loss of the season. Opelika is still going to be the number 2 seed. Carver Montgomery is fighting for their playoff lives with Enterprise, and one of those teams is going to miss out on the playoffs. I mean, you've had 5 outstanding teams that has been in the top 10 all year in 7A, and one of them is going to miss out on the playoffs. This is just the way that classifications in Alabama do things, and sometimes it feels unfair. I mean, we've witnessed this for years, not seeing teams like Opelika was decent and missing out on the playoffs the last 2 years. I mean, they're going to the playoffs for the first time since 2021. This is the first time they're going as a 7A school. All right, I'm going to go ahead and run down all the games real quick for Friday because I don't have a whole lot of time. But high school game day is going to be at Russell County. They're taking on Rehoboth. Russell County is going to the playoffs for the first time since 1998. Thrip Behringer will be on the call. I will join him as a color commentator, maybe for a half, because I got to get home and get ready to produce the GIAA scoreboard show that airs on the GIAA.tv and Facebook page, 11 o'clock tonight. Thrip Behringer and I will be there giving the scores for week 11 and including the game of the week as well. We also have Rick Beach from Kutsu Sports up at Danny Durham Field, Tiger Stadium in Hamilton, Georgia. And it is senior night. Harris County has not clinched a playoff berth just yet. They need some help. They need Jonesboro to beat Northside, and they need Central of Carrollton to beat Northside next week at Kinnett Stadium. Harris County could actually finish 7-3 and miss out on the playoffs. They do have the tiebreaker with Northside. But if Northside wants to make the playoffs, they've got to beat Jonesboro. It's a weird playoff scenario, but it does work out. And I do think that it is just very tough that Harris County is in the region they are with Stars Mill, with Central Carrollton that went undefeated last year. And I just want to actually go and look at the playoff scenario for Harris County because I'm stunned. I mean, they could get a win tonight and end up missing out on the playoffs. They could go to 3-3 in the region. All right, so we got Stars Mill 5-0. Central Carrollton is 3-1. Who does Central Carrollton play in their next 2 games? They play Griffin. That's going to be a win. And then they play at Northside. Northside can play spoiler, and they can knock Harris County out of the playoffs. How great would that be for the Northside Patriots? Jonesboro takes on Northside today. If Jonesboro wins that game, Jonesboro is going to the playoffs. They're 3-1 in the region. Jonesboro takes on Stars Mill. So let's say Northside gets the upset and Jonesboro loses to Stars Mill next week. Well, Jonesboro will be 3-3, but they have the tiebreaker with Harris County. And depending on what happens with Northside and Central Carrollton, if Northside loses to Central Carrollton, Northside would have the tiebreaker with Jonesboro. So it's a weird situation. We just know that there are 5 talented teams in 4A Region 3, and only 4 make the playoffs. So get ready, folks. That's going to be a wild ride for Harris County and Northside. All right, going to run these down real quick. Pacelli is at Westfield. This game is actually going to be live streamed by the Middle Georgia Sports Network. Our friend at the GIAA.tv, Brett Taylor, is going to be live streaming this, and this will also be simulcast on Georgia Alabama Sports Live. How about this matchup? 2 6-2 teams that are both going to go to the playoffs, Beulah and Randolph County. That's going to be a great matchup. Up at Kinnett Stadium, Kendrick is at Shaw. If Shaw beats Kendrick and they beat Jordan next Thursday, Shaw is one of those teams that could sneak into the playoffs. I mean, they were ranked pretty high. They did beat Hardaway. That is a quality win. Speaking of Hardaway, Hardaway has got their biggest road test as they are going down to Americus to take on Sumter County, that's trying to lick their wounds after losing to Carver 31-0. Sumter County has dropped out of the top 10 for 2A. Hardaway's got a 2-game win streak, and Hardaway can make the playoffs if they get a win over Sumter County. And they can also make the playoffs if they get a win against Spencer next week. All right, so let's talk about the game down at Otis Spencer Stadium. The Jordan Red Jackets having a very tough season under first-year coach Aaron McDaniel. But they are going to play this game, and they're going to play with heart, and they're going to do everything they can. Carver is just a juggernaut that can win a state championship in 2A, and Carver just has weapons everywhere. I do like Davin James, the Jordan quarterback. He can make some plays, but I think that the big matchup that we're looking for is if Tristan Givens does play, because Tristan Givens on any team can definitely be a dominating playmaker, and that's really what he is. And he is the number 11th ranked defensive end in the country for the class of 2026. All right, Northside's on the road. I already talked about this game. If they beat Jonesboro, they're looking pretty good to make the playoffs. And Jonesboro actually can still miss out on the playoffs. It's crazy playoff scenarios, so we'll see about that. Lee Scott needs a win here against Comer. I don't know if they're going to end up making the playoffs this year, but let's go ahead and take a look at what Lee Scott is at, because it's very interesting, because we know the playoff teams are Glenwood, Beulah, and Randolph County. Lee Scott did lose to Dadeville. So because they lost to Dadeville, I'm just curious to see right now. They are 2-3 in 3A Region 4, and Dadeville is also 2-3. This is a must-win game for Lee Scott. Dadeville does have the tiebreaker with the Lee Scott Academy Warriors, so if they want to make the playoffs, they got to beat Comer. And they play Reeltown next week. That is a non-region game, by the way. Enterprise also fighting for their playoff lives with Carver Montgomery, taking on an 0-9 Smith Station team that is just hoping this season ends. It's been bad for Smith Station. They at least won one game last year. The year before, they won one game. They're going backwards, and I hate seeing that for a Smith Station program that has a passionate fan base, and they do have a lot of talent that lives in the area. It's just that you got to buy into their program, and they're in a tough region. And when you have the success of Central, Glenwood, Russell County, it is hard to try to convince football players to buy into your program. And just Smith Station just having a tough season. Brookstone going to be in the playoffs. They are on the road against Strong Rock. Callaway, winners of 6 straight, taking on Jackson. They are going to the playoffs. And then finally, Auburn is taking on Dothan up at the Duck. And I think that Auburn can win a state championship. All right, last night in the NFL, the Los Angeles Rams defeated the Minnesota Vikings 30-20. Matthew Stafford had 4 touchdown passes. It's funny, when you get your 2 top receivers back, Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, that all of a sudden you look like Patrick Mahomes. And now the Rams are 3-4, and I think they could win this division. Now that they have Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp, the Rams are the best team in the NFC West. I hate saying that as a 49ers fan, but they beat the 49ers without those 2 receivers. Maybe the Vikings were fool's gold. They have lost 2 straight. I still think the Vikings are a borderline playoff team, but now the Lions have taken control of this division, and I would not be shocked if the Vikings are down with the Bears as far as just a very talented division. My NFL picks, we got Baltimore and Cleveland. I think Baltimore wins, even though it's on the road. Jameis Winston's going to start for the Cleveland Browns. The Titans and the Lions, I got the Lions winning this game. Indianapolis and Houston, pretty good game. A 4-3 Colts team and a 5-2 Texans team, but I think the Texans win here. Green Bay at Jacksonville. I think Green Bay gets the road victory over Jacksonville. Cardinals and Dolphins. Look out for Kyler Murray. They got a big win against the Chargers. I think they keep that momentum, and Kyler Murray gets another win. Jets and Patriots. I mean, it's just a battle of two really bad teams. I do think the Jets have a little bit more talent than the Patriots, and they end up winning this game. They figure things out. I think with Devontae Adams, Hassan Reddick, Aaron Rodgers figures things out. I think the Jets beat up on the really bad teams. I mean, that's pretty much what the Jets are. Falcons and Buccaneers. Baker Mayfield's leading the NFL touchdown passes. I just wanted to put that out there that Baker Mayfield could win MVP. Buccaneers feel they should have beat the Falcons in Atlanta. I think the Buccaneers win this game. I think that the Buccaneers feel, they got humiliated against the Baltimore Ravens, but they also are playing on a short week. They're going to have a little bit of momentum. A huge loss is Terry Godwin, just out for the season. I don't know how the Buccaneers are going to be able to recover from that. Although I do think the Falcons can beat the Buccaneers, it's just that after losing to the Seahawks the way the Falcons did, I don't really trust the Falcons as much as I should have. Eagles at Bengals. This is going to be a very fun game. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, they are going to torch that Eagles defense. They're playing in Cincinnati. I think the Eagles come back to earth and they lose to the Bengals here. Saints at Chargers. Saints are just awful. Spencer Rattler's probably going to start again. Chargers are going to bounce back and get a win. It's very rare that a Jim Harbaugh coach team loses back-to-back weeks. Bills at Seahawks. I love this matchup. I do think that the Bills, though, are just better than the Seahawks, and they win this game. How about this matchup? Bears at Commanders. Now, Jaden Daniels is not going to play. It's going to be Marcus Mariota more than likely. I wanted to see Caleb Williams go up against Jaden Daniels, the number 2 and number 1 draft picks, respectively. But I do think that the Commanders, because they do have an overall good team, it's not Jaden Daniels alone. It's really the culture. It's Cliff Kingsbury being a quarterback whisperer. All of a sudden, Marcus Mariota looked like his Heisman form when he was playing in Oregon. Man, why couldn't Atlanta have that Marcus Mariota? I don't know why. Anyway, the Panthers, they're going back to Bryce Young. Broncos 4-3. I think Broncos get the victory here at the Mile High. The Sunday night, not the Sunday night game. The Chiefs and the Raiders. This is going to be the 4:25 game on CBS. I mean, the Chiefs are just absolutely dominant. Now they've added DeAndre Hopkins. I think the Chiefs end up blowing out the Raiders in Vegas. And the Sunday night football game, it's really two bad teams playing. I can't believe that I'm actually going to stay up and watch this game. It's the Cowboys and the 49ers. The Cowboys are not a very good team. They are not going to have Micah Parsons or Demarcus Lawrence. The 49ers, I mean, they got humiliated against Kansas City. I see the 49ers winning, but it's going to be ugly. And I don't know what to say. And then the Monday Night Football game is the Giants and the Steelers. Steelers, they're sticking with Russell Wilson. He's pretty good. Why not give him the bag and let him just take over this franchise? Hey, game 1 of the World Series is tonight. We got the Yankees and the Dodgers at Chavez Ravine. We've got Garrett Cole going for the New York Yankees, and you got Jack Flaherty going for the Dodgers. I give the slight advantage to the Yankees because their pitchers are more healthier. The Dodgers don't have Walker Buehler. They don't have Clayton Kershaw, and I don't think Tyler Glasnow is going to pitch. So I think the Yankees, even though they don't have the home field advantage, I do think that the Yankees get the win. All right, let's take a look at the association last night because it was the Boston Celtics beating the Washington Wizards 122-102. The Celtics could possibly win 70 games this year. They look fantastic. I think they're a really good regular season team, and even without Kristaps Porzingis, the Celtics have a lot of depth. Their starting 5 can get 20 a night. Even though Al Horford is on the tail end of his career, he's slowly declining. He's still a veteran, high IQ basketball player. I mean, as a Hawks fan, you know he was that way for a decade. But the Boston Celtics probably going to entertain that regular season record by the Golden State Warriors in 2016 of 73 wins. I think that they could possibly get on pace for that record. But I don't know if the Celtics are really into like trying to get the regular season record. I think they want to get another championship. They want to get number 19. They want to get as far away from the Lakers as possible. They're at 18. Lakers are at 17. The Celtics want to try to get another championship. And the debut of the number 2 overall pick in the NBA, Alex Sarr, it didn't go so well. 2 points, 1 of 7. Man, I'm glad the Hawks didn't draft him. All right, let's take a look at the Dallas Mavericks. You know, Klay Thompson had a pretty good game, 22 points in his debut. It was Luka with 28 points. They defeated the Spurs. We got to see Julian Champagne with 18 points. I was very interested to see how Chris Paul and Wemby would play together. But now I'm changing my pick. I know I said that the Denver Nuggets are going to represent the West in the NBA Finals. Well, after losing to the Oklahoma City Thunder at home, 102-87, yeah, the Nuggets are just not the same team, and I don't think they get back to the NBA Finals. Nikola Jokic did have a triple-double. He only had 16 points. It was Chet Holmgren that had 25 points. When you have depth like the Oklahoma City Thunder have with Chet Holmgren, Jalen Williams, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, and you also have Alex Caruso, who's a defensive specialist. I think that OKC might get the number 1 seed again. Minnesota bounces back, and they get the win over the Kings. Anthony Edwards gets the go-ahead jumper, 117-115, the debut of DeMar DeRozan, who is an offensive machine. But I just don't know if he is like an overall leader when it comes to getting your team over the hump and winning a championship. But that's a good piece to play alongside De'Aaron Fox and Domantas Sabonis. The Kings actually have some good pieces. I like Keegan Murray. I hate it when they traded away Tyrese Halliburton, but they did get Domantas Sabonis in that trade. Tough loss at the Sleep One Train Arena for the Sacramento Kings. And that was the NBA scores last night. Not a whole lot on the slate, but we do have the Atlanta Hawks playing the Charlotte Hornets tonight. I want to see more development from Zachary Rieser. Can Onyeka Okongwu continue putting up 20 a night? Because that's what we want to see. We want to see another superstar alongside Trae Young. And then my top 5 college football teams that are on upset alert. Before I do that, Syracuse did lose to Pitt, 41-13. Kyle McCord ended up throwing 5 interceptions. Not a good night for Kyle McCord. Can Pitt win the ACC and sneak into the college football playoff? Who knows? I will have my college football playoff prediction on Monday's show. Georgia Southern did lose to Old Dominion 47-19. All right, let's take a look at the slate for tonight. Louisville taking on Boston College. You got Boise State at UNLV. All right, this is my first team that is on upset alert. UNLV will beat Boise State at Allegiant Stadium. This is happening. And by the way, Josh Pate from the Late Kick, now the CBS College Football Show with Josh Pate, is going to have his every Saturday tour there at Allegiant Stadium. Then he's going to fly back to Nashville and be there for Texas and Vanderbilt. Late tonight, 11 o'clock. I might be staying up for this because I got the GIAA scoreboard show with Thrift. USC and Rutgers. This is a game that USC has to win. All right, I got 4 other teams that are on upset alert. Let's start with BYU. Ranked 11th, they go down to Orlando to take on Central Florida. This is a very interesting matchup. Central Florida has got Troop's own Kobe Hudson. It's a Gus Malzahn team that will throw every trick in the book. If BYU is going to be a college football playoff contender, they roll South Florida. Or Central Florida. This is a trap game beyond all trap games. Texas and Vanderbilt. Texas is on upset alert. Vanderbilt is a very sneaky good team, but highly unlikely. I don't see Texas losing to Vanderbilt. There's not really a big list of teams that are on upset alert this week. We got Penn State at Wisconsin. Penn State, you are on upset alert. It's Camp Randall Stadium. Wisconsin is a very tough place to play. And a lot of people think that Penn State is due for a loss. And then finally, Florida State at Miami. I know that Florida State is having a terrible season. They still have a lot of talent. Florida State would love nothing more than to spoil Miami's season. You know, I've had Miami on upset alert the last couple of times. I had them on upset alert against Cal. I had them on upset alert against Louisville. Can they be on upset alert at home against their biggest, most hated rival? I mean, Florida State could do something really funny here and spoil Miami's season. So that's why I've got Miami on upset alert. Hey, Georgia's on a bye this week. Auburn is at Kentucky. Alabama hosting Missouri. Alabama just trying to figure something out. Are we overvaluing Alabama? Because they are more than a 2-touchdown favorite against a Missouri team that was a college football playoff contender. We got Georgia Tech in Blacksburg taking on Virginia Tech. You know, I got to tell you this. Virginia Tech is a 10.5-point favorite. I think Georgia Tech gets the upset here. This is not my upset special, but I do believe they get the upset here. And then we also got some other games. Let's see on the slate. That is about it, my friend. Oh, LSU at Texas A&M. Forgot about that. That's going to be a big game. 7:30 ABC. We got Michigan and Michigan State. SMU at Duke. If you really want to stay up late, we got Cincinnati at Colorado. If Colorado wins that game, they are going to go bowling. Wow, it's been a great show. A lot that I covered. Let's just throw it back locally. Columbus State soccer ranked 2 in the nation, 12-0-1. It's homecoming, 2 p.m. at the Walden Soccer Complex as they are taking on North Georgia. And Emma Beto, 7 goals on the season. Columbus State soccer looks like they can make a deep run into the NCAA playoffs. Columbus volleyball is in the Final Four this week. They're taking on Savannah Arts Academy. Glenwood season did come to an end as they did lose that second game in the state volleyball playoffs at the Cramden Bowl. But then we also have next week, we've got the state softball championships at the South Commons Softball Complex as Harris County and Northside are going to be there. And right now, LaGrange is in a best of series. They have a game 3 winner take all later today against North Hall. And if LaGrange can win, they are going to the South Commons Softball Complex. And I'll probably be seeing Kevin Eccleberry sometime next week. Well, this has been a very fun show. But I do want to close this show on a sad note because this news came across my phone when I was up in the broadcast booth calling the Spencer Columbus game with Mike Peacock. The passing of South Florida coach Amir Abdur-Rahim. This really shook me. He was only 43 years old. I mean, that's younger than me. It's really just sad because, you know, he was such a great coach, a development of players, a development of assistant coaches. He had ties to Columbus. I mean, Pershing Williams, who was a Columbus State coach, who is one of the sons of legendary coach George Williams. He was under his staff at Kennesaw State. Donovan Williams was under his staff at South Florida. Such a great coach. He led South Florida to 25 wins last year, an American tournament or American Conference Championship. He led Kennesaw State to their first ever NCAA tournament appearance in 2023. And he also helped recruit Anthony Edwards to Georgia. He is surely going to be missed. This is a tremendous loss in the basketball world. And my heart is very heavy this morning. And we had a good show. Thank you so much for tuning into the show once again. I will be back Monday. I will recap everything that happened over the weekend. Don't forget, you can like and subscribe to the Facebook channel. I'm also found on YouTube. I'm looking for some subscribers. I will try to get a milestone for you, but please subscribe to the YouTube channel. I mean, it helps with the algorithm as I grow my audience, as I continue to make this podcast bigger. Thank you so much for tuning in, and hope you have a great rest of your weekend.